understanding of every individual. And he shared, he says that it's very important not to have a teacher, somebody that has authority and experience in the science of pranayama, but still it's something that will come up naturally. Am I wrong or that I misunderstood Dr. Sumit?
Can you simplify the question because I didn't get it? Are you asking me that you should be referring to someone who is an authority on pranayama, or what was the question? Can you just repeat the question? Because I didn't get the question clearly.
Yes, I don't know if I lost you yesterday, but you said that it's very important to follow up a teacher in pranayama, somebody that
Yes.
will guide you
right.
To do the science of breathing correctly.
Right.
But then another part you say that accordingly to your personal experience, this is something that it will come up naturally in you.
Yeah. So see what
did you learn from? I'm sorry. Yeah. Did you learn from some master, or is it something that you just experienced by yourself?
Okay. I got your question. So it is a good question. As I said that you should be learning this techniques from someone who has applied it in the context. Yesterday when I was talking about breath, my quotient in every lecture is not to talk about multitudes of techniques because there are a lot of techniques out there. My thing is what is the thought process behind the technique? Why do you want to do pranayama? Somebody wants to do it because they want to beat stress. Someone wants to do it for health. Someone wants to do it to gain some higher consciousness. Someone does pranayama as a part of their upasana, tantric, sadhana practices. And some people just do it because maybe they feel like doing it. So there is a notion of why you want to do it and how it should be done. So for me, I have learned from many masters, but I have not gone to learn a specific technique from someone. Everybody was using those techniques to enhance their own path. So that question came into me that what is my path? What exactly I consider as health? Now, a lot of people will say, yes, yesterday the question I think so you asked or someone asked was, I'm following a dincharya, and then I think so Jia asked that, I'm following somebody's following a particular Ayurveda lifestyle and they are suggesting Kapalbhati with it. So pranayama is suggested as an adjuvant to Ayurveda because a lot of people think that Ayurveda is a sister science of yoga. Now, this is not a concept even to discuss. There is no sister sciences. Everything comes from the way yoga is a separate darshan. Sankhya is a separate darshan. Darshan, when we say philosophy, foundational philosophy of how cosmology comes. So we cannot say these are sister sciences. They absolutely are formed on various different concepts of how cosmology evolved. Now, why I'm using this word darshan? Because those darshan enumerate that how can you use the same philosophy to reverse engineer yourself to go to the primordial entity. So you cannot say Ayurveda is a sister science, yoga is a sister science. So when you are following a particular philosophy, it could be Tantra, it could be Yoga, it could be Mimans, it could be Vedanta, it could be Nyaya, Vaisheshik, or even it could be Charvak Darshan, which says that everything is stupidity, world is manifesting. You are trying to still get to the point of origin of cosmos, the point of origin of that primordial thing, which is within you, a derivative of which is within you, however you want to put it. And these techniques are supporting techniques to it. They come on the basis of diet. They come on the basis of particular thing. So those are the things why it was used initially. Now, as society developed, earlier, as I said, yoga was not so popular because it was a part of an Indian culture. Everybody used to do some kind of yoga. Now you see Padmasana. I'll tell you a very simple thing. Today is very difficult to sit in Padmasana. Why? Because you do not sit on the floor. In certain yogic lineages, asanas are regarded as easy, difficult, extremely difficult. So Padmasana comes at a little bit difficult part. But if you see in ancient India, Padmasana was very easy because everybody used to sit in Padmasana while eating food. Now we don't sit. So eventually with the development, with the muscular development, because children don't sit, we don't sit, we lost the ability to sit in a cross-leg position. So see how evolution is working. So today if somebody can do Padmasana and put like this, we say, wow, he's like an accomplished yogi. But 40 years back, it was not an accomplished thing. Everybody used to do it. So see, we have to go into history. So as I said, that it doesn't depend upon master. It depends upon what you are searching. If you are searching the stability within you, then whatever contributes to the stability should be taken. And pranayama is one of those things. There are certain things, as I said, conscious breathing. You're just breathing slowly. It is fine because that is something we are naturally doing. But when you're doing something to regulate that breathing voluntarily, then there you must require a particular master, because initially you will get away with it. But you start doing it continuously and your diet is wrong, your body is wrong, your dincharya is wrong, you're waking up at some time, you're sleeping at some time, you've got acid into your system, flatulence into your system, and that practice becomes compulsion on you. Sometimes the practice becomes such a compulsion that we are doing it every day. So one day when we don't do it, we feel like sad, I've not done my practice. And pranayama is not a practice. It is a contributing tool towards that path. It comes from an absolutely different philosophy, a different darshan shastra. Yoga is a different darshan shastra. It is separate from Sankhya. Ayurveda takes everything. It takes Sankhya, it takes Yoga, it takes Mimans, it takes Purva Mimans, it takes everything it takes to explain the gross body and how the Sukshma body is entering into it. So, we have to trace the origins first, and then only we can make those divisions. The problem comes because yoga is a sister science, Ayurveda is a sister science. This confusion occurs. So I was making that point that first you have to decide why you want to do it. Of course, you can go to different masters to, like you pick up a book, you read something, you find intrigue in it. But once you understand the basic algorithm of why you want, then you should only learn it from a person who is working on your algorithm. So let us say that you are following a particular path. It could be any traditional path, a puja path, any path. So what is the breathing practice which will contribute to that path? You cannot say, no, I'm doing this Ayurveda diet because I have a doctor. I have got my guru who is teaching me puja, and I'm learning pranayama from another guru. That is what I was talking about. It cannot be separate. Everything must be contributing to your own path and reduce the clutter. So I hope I was making that point. And once you start becoming focused within, you start following a pattern, you start following this. It could be anyone, not necessarily you are following me. It could be anyone. But that accomplishment must be there. Yogic sciences cannot be done without the knowledge of the body. Without the sharir, knowledge of the sharir, no yogic practices can be done. The sharir knowledge, and that also from the Vedic point of view, from the Nadi point of view. You do not require anatomy. Anatomy can be a contributing factor. But the concept of Nadi, the concept of Spanda, the concept of breath, the concept of whatever it is completely different from the concept of circulation, the concept of nervous system, the concept of this. We can find parallels because it becomes easy for us to find parallels. But this is a completely different science because this was created much before modern science came. So their concepts were different. The way they counted breaths was different. The way they accumulated breath was different. As I yesterday was telling you about Angul Praman. It is individual. My 4 anguls can be equal to 2 anguls of you. So I cannot say it is 6 angul down pran. No, you have to count it yourself. In that also, angul, if your posture is like this, you will not be able to count the angul. So you to count it, your body measurement should also see how subtle it goes. And only then you can understand the concept of pranayama. So I'm not saying everybody needs to go into the details, but it is okay to understand that these details exist. So we have to reach towards it. And it depends upon what your goal is. If you're doing it just for health's sake, go to an Ayurveda doctor, do some practices, feel good about it. You're doing it just as a practice, it doesn't matter. But if you're doing it as a path, then you require to understand every minute details of what is changing into your system. And for that, you require a master who is doing it, who is applying it. As I told you again, if I'm teaching you heat breath, I cannot sit in a warm room and teach it to you. I have to go out into the cold and to show you how I can warm up my body. Only then you will learn, okay, this guy is going into -1 degrees, -2 degrees and warming his body. Then you can say, this is how the breath is done. If you want to do Kapalbhati and increase something, I'll go in a particular environment and do it. But if I just do it in the confines of my room, it is very easy to say, this is how the technique. So in pranayama, technique is never important. The effect is important. And that effect comes at a very logical calculation, which only a master can teach you who has applied it in his path.
All right, thank you.
Doctor, yesterday throughout your lecture series, you have been saying that things are made up of 5 units and five elements. So when it comes to prana, does it also have elements, or it is just one final, one unit in itself?
See, everything what you have said, the vital cosmic breath or whatever it is, whatever is manifested through these elements. Beyond these elements, there are certain qualities, there are certain intellect, there is certain, a methodology of how these elements will come across. If you see, there are different methodologies of how elements have formed. So I don't want to go into Darshan Shastra. But let us say, for example, Sankhya Shastra. Or, for example, 5 elements. So what is said? The primordial element is Akash. From Akash, inside it, because Shabda is created, friction is created, there is movement, Vayu is created. So Vayu gets one part of Akash and one part of movement. From that, fire is created. Then we go to the gross elements, water is created. So the point I'm trying to make is, doesn't matter if there are 5 elements, 6 elements, or 10 elements. The point is, there is a method of development of elements where you can reverse engineer and go back to that primordial form. So when you say pran is not like your life. It is that vitality which enables us to interact. It is that logical quotient which is unseen, which tells us that there is a logic here. There is some vitality here. You cannot see vitality in a fruit. You can understand it through logic that something is growing. Because fruit is not talking with you, but still it has pran. Still, any inanimate object works with a logic. Because it is not interacting with us doesn't mean it doesn't have pran, because without pran nothing can be there. So it is this vitality with which even what is making the earth move, you can say Vayu, but there is this vitality which is keeping on going. Vibration is there in a particular, so there is a rule towards it, and that is what we mean by pran. In our body, we understand it as this force which is animating your system. What you take in as a first breath, what you leave out as the last breath, after that there is nothing in this gross body, it is dying. But what goes out, what is leaving your body, that Sukshma Shari, that is pran. Is it made up of Mahabhuts? You have to go to the philosophy and understand if it is made up of Mahabhuts or not. But anything that is made has to have some kind of an elemental form. And when you go beyond that elemental form, you understand the all-pervasiveness of that thing. So this is how it is made. So if you say, what is pran, what is that thing? So I can see if it is a derivative form, it is manifested, it is something which you cannot know. If it is a sum total of all the vitality, then it encompasses all the elements within it, because from it everything started. So this comes little bit in the quotient of philosophy, where we are trying to reach that point. But when you only talk about the gross bodies, we only talk about things which we can see, which we can manipulate, they come under the quotient of these 5 elements. So if you see this coronavirus, you will say, what element? So it contains all the 5 elements. Only we are not able to see it in our form. It has mass. You can measure it. It might have some mass. It will have some fluid. It will have movement. It will have transformatory energy of Agni. And it will have an collidable space within it, which is encompassing. So it has all the 5 elements. So see, anything, if you go to the gross level, the smallest of conceivable thing which has got mass, the Treshnu of Nyaya, the first conceivable atom which we can perceive, it comes from the 5 elements. Because without mass, nothing is perceivable. So, this is something, it goes like for the intellectual form, it arrives at nothing. But just because you asked the question, I'm giving you a little bit of clarity on it. I hope it was useful.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Very useful.
Doctor, so everything that is sustained and creates everything in creation, if it's sustained by prana, once the prana is disconnected, for example, in the human body, all the elements and all the particles, everything will dissolve. Am I wrong, or am I confused with this?
Yeah, it's a good question. See, on a singularity level, you can say it goes away, but on a derivative level, nothing, because prana pervades all. In philosophy, we come across a term called, a lot of translators have used the term cosmic breath. So cosmic breath means what? That the moment creation starts, there is a visarga, there is a expression of energy starts with the breath. As life in us starts with a breath. That breath could be your I'm using a very wrong translation, breath, that manifestation. It could be that first heartbeat. It could be the first moment when the sperm went to the ovum and started. It could be anything. So when the pran leaves you, your gross body ceases to exist, ceases to animate. But within the gross body are hundreds of bhutas, hundreds of microbes. They themselves have taken some of your pran. It is not the gross total of everything. Whatever is coming inside every day, whatever you are retaining, whatever you are throwing is different. But moment when it goes out, because you are retaining nothing and you are throwing away everything, it goes away. But where it has been used in micro levels, that also functioning on pran, which we understand as 4 vayus in some Agor Tantra, like Dhananjay Vayu, Kritika Vayu, whatever vayus we understand it. Because the process of animation is still going. If I leave you, you will putrefy. If I leave you, you will slowly start getting, decomposed. So it is always inherent. But only because on a personal level, it ceases. For us, at that moment, it ceases to exist. So that is how we understand. I'll give you a very simple example. When gangrene occurs, other part, there is pran, but one part is dead. It is become necrosed. You have to cut it off. So does that mean that your entire body ceases to live? No, that part, that pran is not consuming. So when every part the pran is not consuming, your animation dies. But between that, something again, transformation is occurring. So somebody is using some pran to cultivate it. So, that has to be understood at a very gross level. But because Ayurveda and yogic sciences, we are focused of the Srishti from a human point of view, these things do not become apparent to us. They should not become apparent to us, because if we are not there, it doesn't matter what exists outside us.
Now, know the concept that everything is interdependent, and we need all these elements and everything to stay alive, this gross body. So going to the subject of the COVID-19, isn't it's not this a result of not being in harmony with the rest of the elements, the rest of the environment that sustained the life in this planet? And the main responsible is the human being. It is something that is like a reaction to probably unconscious or conscious abuse against nature, exploiting the resources and the animals and all this. It's just something. It's not like it's not like a reaction of this long period of economical exploitation of the planet.
See, I've made a complete lecture series on COVID Ayurveda. Maybe Shweta can put up the link, because this I've explained that in detail in 5 parts. But just because you've asked the question, see, Vedic sciences do not consider human as the most important species. We are understanding it from our point of view. So there is no use and abuse. We can justify and glorify ourselves thinking, oh, because we have abused nature, this is happening. But life only works in discrimination. If you are working hard, there is someone outside to pick up your garbage. If everyone becomes rich, then what is the definition of poor? If everyone is earning money, who is going to spend? Who is going to produce? Because everyone has the money to spend, but no one has the requirement to create it. So Vedic sciences only talk about this basic algorithm. This rhythm, what we call that, everything in a derivative way works with the law of creative sustenance destruction, and they are contributing to each other. So if I give you a very simple example, which I was giving in a lecture, that if everyone eats meat, animals will die. If everyone does not eat meat, still animals will die, because you have to create farms and cut forests. So there have to require people who eat meat, require people who don't eat meat. In that also now we have vegans who don't drink milk. So in a nutshell, because some people is not consuming, some people are getting better quality and the abuse is being lost. Forest fires are required to regrow new forests. This is a law of biodiversity. You can go and ask anyone. Now, who starts the fire? It is not important. You can say, oh, this is a natural calamity. Because of climate change, too much heat is happening and forest fire. But no, forest fires have been going on before civilization. Forests are being burnt. Why? Because in that fire, a lot of bacteria, fungus which accumulates on trees, they kill them. The few which are immune start making up a new forest with soil fixation. Now, who puts the fire? It doesn't matter. Now, you can say this COVID has come because everybody has abused nature. But it is nothing like that. We evolve. When certain things happen to balance it out. Now, if we think that only we are the most important species, then it becomes like a question of holding on to ideologies. No. Some people will say that it is required for economy to grow. Some people will say that no, we have to, this is because we are abusing nature, everything is happening. But how much will you sustain nature? Someday this COVID will end. Someday somebody will go to work, because hunger is more than activism. Somebody is going to start working in a different way. And that is where again this thing starts. When there was a lot of forest and all, everybody was there. There were no doctors, there was no access. People used to die. When technology, cars started, people demanded cut forests and make roads for us. But technology has its abuse, because if you want, I also want. Why should I be deprived of it? So what do you think is the bare minimum necessity to be coexist in nature? You require light, you require this. No, you don't require anything. There were people without electricity who used to shiver in cold. Electricity came, we changed our habits. Then everybody wanted electricity. Room heating, room cooling was a luxury when it came. Then everybody started using, because consumerism made it affordable. Then we started thinking about greenhouse gases. So see, we have to go into history and we have to understand evolution of this to make such comments from a Vedic point of view. From a personal point of view, you may agree with me, I may not agree with you. I'll say nothing is happening, we are a part of a change. You might say, no, I think that this is how I feel, and no one is stopping you from that. But from an algorithmic point of view, this does not make sense. And therefore the Vedas says that things are constantly in change within you. You have to make the change within you to be still and oblivious to that change. If you do that, then nothing is being created within your mind. You're just responding to things around you. You can do it with upasana, sadhana, diet, japa, meditation, intellectually by following science, being atheist. It doesn't matter how you do it. You're going to reach that stillness. You call the stillness avyakta, you call the stillness Shiv Shakti, you call the stillness a book. It doesn't matter. So the concept is important. The execution is just a supporting factor. And this is what, in a nutshell, this all sciences are telling you, this all darshan shastras are telling you. And if you understand this rhythm, what we call this algorithm of how exactly things are being manifested, then this environmental sciences become apparent to us. Does that mean that by understanding this, we are not going to create chaos? No, at certain levels, we are all going to create chaos. You might think that somebody's killing a dog, and you will not sit back and say, because it is rhythm, I am not going to be inactive. Because you are also a part of a change. If you go and save that dog, it is creating a cycle of change. If you keep and watch somebody being killed, it's still creating a cycle of change. But that is what is said in the Gita. Are you responsible for the action? You're doing it for some nobility, or you're doing it because in that time that is your dharma. You think this is what I need to do. So see, these things are very specifically put. So it is not telling you be inactive because everything is happening on its own. It is not telling you be active because you're standing. This activity and inactivity also form a part of this algorithm.
Thank you, doctor.
Possible to be conscious of your breath 24/7, and is it needed?
See, I said there is something which is subconsciously occurring. Now, this is a question which cannot be answered theoretically. But yes, if you want to be very much go into deep into your practice, you should be conscious of your breath 24/7. Even if you're taking a crap, urinating, doing anything. If you're conscious of your breath, only then you will see the subtle changes in your system. You will understand what causes deflection in your breath. You will see you have eaten something bad, night heavy. Your breath will change. You are going to understand tomorrow you are not going to get bowel movements. The moment you have eaten and after 2 hours your breath stabilizes, you know you are going to get a bowel movement. This is very apparent. See, all Vedic sciences, yogic sciences, they said that from when we come into existence, we have a lot of clutter around our mind. Moral, social, financial, economical. So the basic, everything comes from one. So you have to remove the clutter and go to that one. So what is rhythmic into your system? Because you can only quantify something which is rhythmic. You cannot quantify something which is arrhythmic. You can quantify the moon because you know whatever happens, We know it is going to come in the night in whatever form it is, and it is to go, and we are not going to see it into the thing. Same with the sun. So you quantify something into your system and you hold it as a law, as a praman. That praman is not existent, because from earth, these calculations are apparent. But when you go outside the earth, these calculations are not apparent, because everything is moving in relation to something. So the laws of gravity and whatever you are using on earth are not calculable on Mars. Their calculation will be different. But the law is there. We understand that if you land on something, there has to be this law. So if you go into something, there has to be some kind of a weak and strong nuclear force, which doesn't need nuclear energy. The cause of separation coming back, which is causing some kind of energy. There has to be an electromagnetic energy, because that is how, you create magnetism, you create something which is being static. So these laws were understood. What is a law in your body? Your law in your body is this breath, which is happening every day. If you look at it, it is rhythmic. I'm not saying that morning you're going to breathe more, evening, it depends upon your activity. So once you see this breath and you stable this breath, then what you'll do, you'll start doing some changes in your food habits. So let us say you get up on time, sleep on time. That again is a quantifiable law. After that, you'll start eating the same kind of food, again quantifiable. Then you start eating the food at the same time, again quantifiable. So when everything becomes quantifiable, what happens? The body starts responding to you. Then you'll sit in a particular position still, eating on time, sleeping on time, breath, and you observe the breath. There is nothing more. The entire body becomes quantifiable. If you keep meditating on over a period of time, that breath becomes subconscious. You don't have to remember it. But when it becomes a little bit varied, you will understand it. So this is how practices were instilled. But because, as we say, we learn from text, we learn from translations, this becomes a problem. Because translations bind us to attach to a theory of elitism. I know this. See, if I tell somebody what you teach, I'll say, okay, I teach only breath consciousness. You will say, hey, my class teaches 300 breaths. This is stupid. So that's where the problem comes. The concept of application is not known, and we only go behind techniques. And techniques are only and only for geographical conditions. If I'm modifying my breath in earlier times, let us say I go to the Himalayas, extreme cold, -2 degrees, because I can't wear clothes, because my guru has told me I have to go to the Ganga and bring them water, I have to use a breath, else I'll freeze to death. There is no quotient about it. If I have to let less air into my body, I have to know to breathe from the back of my lungs. If I have to need more, I have to breathe from here. If I have to increase my Agni or digest food, I have to know abdominal breathing. If I want to do elite practices, I should know spinal breathing. But these are required for a particular methods. But can you mimic them in a heated room, in the confines of your home with 20 candles? It is not required. That is appropriation. And that is what, therefore, whenever I take these talks, I only talk about the basic concepts, that you have this Ajab Gayatri within you. So hamsa. If you only know this properly, you keep this stable, you do your diet and discipline around it, you create stability into your system, then you can learn more advanced techniques depending upon if it is required for your practice or not. No advanced technique is going to give you advanced knowledge. It is not going to happen. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you, Doctor.
If due to food or if you're getting angry and our breath is going right or left, so to make it balanced, should we do a simple like breathing 5-6 times, or can you just tell us something basic technique which we should do?
See, again, take it in a very correct way. Let us say you observe your breathing and you know that this is a quotient. Say, let us say that I'm breathing like this. I'm happy with this. First, you should know what is your peaceful quotient. Like I'm breathing in this. Somebody's coming and shouting, somebody's calling me. It is not bothered. It doesn't matter if I lose money or not. I'm there. Got it. Now, moment something bothers me, what is going to happen? My breath is going to change. So you'll say, no, let me get over this and then I'll go back again. But that quotient is already done. So the whole concept is not to rectify that breath, to cut off that quotient. Sometimes what happens that, you get angry. You're there, you're going with someone. You're not doing your practice. You're in your zone. You're going with someone and somebody's talking with you and suddenly you're getting irritated. There is no reason, because when you get irritated, it's only your fault. It's no one else's fault. So that time, if you observe, no, my breath is going a little bit fast, you can just slow it down by, just breathing slowly. If your breath is going very slow, sometimes you feel lightheaded, you have done a lot of job, do cup, increase. You can do that, or you can sit. So that is how you evolve. Someday you will come to know a quotient of which side your stillness is there. Is your stillness is on the higher side or on the lower side? Then these techniques can be used under a guided master. So right now I'll say that I'm not teaching any breath. I'm just teaching the awareness of breath. Understand your stability over a period of time, proper diet, discipline, see on which side it falls. That also is subject to the geographical conditions you're seeing. So that individual it is. So it is very wrong on my part to tell you, oh, stop breath, do Kapalbhati. No. If you feel at a point that, it's absolutely great, but, sometimes it just falls. Then I can tell you, okay, it is falling, do Kapalbhati 2 minutes. Sometimes you're seeing, I know I'm there, the heat is becoming so strong, I'm getting hyper. I'll tell you, okay, do some shallow breathing.
Okay.
Nadi Shodhan, these things have to be learned under a master.
Okay.
That you cannot learn online. It is going to cause you issues, because if you are not have a good diet, it will cause you problems. It is not that you eat food and do the right nostril active, or you want to sleep, so do the left nostril active. So, you sleep on one side, sleep on another side, it is fine, because it improves digestion. But eventually you should work in your lifestyle that is not required. Automatically it starts. That is stability. The moment you have eaten, the 2 hours after which, or 1 hour, the digestion starts, it will automatically shift. But if you think, no, I've eaten food, now I go to sleep, you don't know when your digestion is starting, because you yourself are haphazard in eating. If I'm eating on the right time, I will know when the digestion starts. The moment it starts, my right nostril automatically will be active. Or whatever it is, left, right, however they say it. So that comes natural. It should not be forced, because you're going against the rectification of the body. Only if it is a disease thing, only a master or a chikitsak or a healer who has studied that concept will tell you, no, your nadi is going down, or this is wrong. You cannot say it. There is nowhere written that because you have, after eating, you have to activate your right nostril. There is nowhere written that when you have sleep, your left nostril must be active in the night. It is just a concept which have been made because we think this is heat, this is cold. Heat and cold has got nothing to do with a heat and cold in the body. It has come to the concept of sun and moon, which I told yesterday, her and her. So that is how it is. And that is what we should avoid doing it. So just rectify your diet, just rectify everything. And once you become stable, sometimes you have very good food and it is digested. You feel good about it after 2 hours. If you see the nostril, you come to which is active. And you say, no, this is not active, then it will become crazy, because it is not in your heart. Not every food requires right nostril, because not every food requires maximum acid. Sometimes what acid is already there is good enough because body selects it depending upon your geographical conditions. If you are in cold, your right nostril will always be active. If you are in hot season, left nostril will be, depending upon if you are staying in a humid condition. But for that you have to go and experiment in these conditions. I can tell you from experience, because I have experimented. So this is what we have to understand, how exactly these nadis function, and why diet is so much required in discipline to get hold of prana. Therefore, yam and niyam is given first. Asana and all these techniques come last.
Thank you.
Doctor, I've heard a lot about Kundalini Awakening. What is it? Too hyped. I don't know. I've never understood it. Can you simplify and throw some light on it, please?
Now, see, it is not a wrong concept. I'm not laughing because it is a wrong question, because it's the big question. So, sometimes it becomes difficult to put it in a nutshell. But see, understand, as I was telling yesterday, that this whole concept comes. I was talking about Udan Vayu. See, now this I'm just giving you a little bit of parallel, so don't take it word to word. I'm just trying to simplify it, with my limited intelligence, whatever I know. So, in your body, anything which is supported is because of Udan. Udan Vayu is not something which is different. It is just the way a Vayu works, goes into a system. Vayu is everywhere. But in your system, it goes either up, down, sideways, circular, centripetal, centrifugal. These are the only movements which are possible at a macro and at a micro level. But one of the levels is when it goes up, like I'm talking with you. If I've got good Vayu, I'll talk well, you will hear well. You see weak people who are like old people who are bedridden, they'll speak like that because they don't have that strength to speak loudly. Their voice will go shallow. So Kundalini, the concept is that in your body, there is this prana, there is this irrefutable energy which is controlling your mechanism, the yantra in your body. But what is happening is that in a normal gross level, it is using up some fuel, it is retaining nothing. Why it is not retaining nothing? Because we are spending it illogically on the two things, gross things, which we all humans are attached to: hunger, thirst, sex. That is what we are doing. We are making our own interpretations of how it is functioning. Somebody say my diet is good. Why? Because my blood report is proper. Somebody say my sexual life is good because I can be in bed for 2 hours. So this is kind of a thought processes, or I am very horny because I can have sex 100 times a month. Some people have averse to sexuality. Some people have averse to food because they feel if I eat too much of food, I'm indulging. Spiritual concepts. Now see, everything I'm talking about, good and bad, there is no notion. But when so much of prana is getting burst into this chakra or the spinal complex is what we call, then what is happening? You're not retaining anything. But the moment with proper logic, with proper surrender to someone, when all these moral social concepts go away, because the existence of body is not there, you're just trying to get complete control over a system. You feel hungry, it doesn't matter if it is a wheat or meat. You're feeling thirsty, it doesn't matter what is there. In the geographical condition, as I said, you are just eating because that Agni is there, that fire is there, then the least prana in those complexes is going out. Moment the prana and the, it's budgeting becomes proper, what happens? Those channels become locked. The moment the channels become locked, some kind of a spinal complexes, some kind of a hormonal complexes, some kind of a this starts moving up because you're getting that much more strength. Because now your strength is not getting filled up anywhere. This is somewhere understood as Kundalini Awakening because those things do not matter you more. And once you do it completely done, then there is something called as a Granthi, lower Granthi. I don't know what is called, Brahma Granthi, Rudra Granthi or Shiva Granthi. The first Granthi, whatever it is, the first knot, it gets broken. That knot is broken means what? The moment that knot, you cover that point, you cannot go back to that follicus. You can go there by choice, but eventually you will not go down to that follicus. So then they say this Granthi has been done. Then you move up to higher level. Then you start understanding the more holistic levels of sound, the more holistic levels of nad, the whole holistic levels of vibration which is happening. And this is how it is said. Now, it is not required that every time we call it Kundalini. Somebody call it Kundalini for iconography, that it is like a snake which is sleeping dormant in the lowest form with the mouth and the tail in her mouth. The moment it gets some sarga, it goes up. But how will it go up? Without Udana, it cannot go up. There is no movement in anything without Vayu. So in other concepts, they understand it with this. The concepts are the same. The concepts are the same is to attain this stillness into your system, that you are manifested, nothing is manifested within you. Again, I'm pointing the same point again and again. However you reach it depends upon your spiritual and attainment complex. Some people get idea with the, fascinated with the idea of all these technical terms. Great. Some people get fascinated with the idea of lot of other sadhanas. Great. But these concepts on a technical terms, so we understood this in that forms. And once that forms happens, it becomes apparent. If your Kundalini has risen, only you will know. No one else will know. If there is some energetic shift, somebody can tell you because you're showing some kind of a complexual nervine kind of a disorders. Like some people get blood vomit, some people go a little bit crazy because of certain types of sadhana, certain types of these hormonal complexes start releasing involuntarily. You are not prepared for it. Suddenly it gets released. it is like a contraceptive pill you take for the first time. And what happens? Your body gets confused because those hormones are not there. And you feel fuzzy. You feel like something is happening which should not be happening. This is the thing happens with certain people when they accidentally or sometime release these hormonal complexes. And that is why the reason, you have to go step by step. You have to understand even the Bij mantras and whatever things you do. There is a method to it. Unfortunately, we have got so much of literature around us that the methods of application get lost. So these all are the same concepts. It only depends which part you get enticed to.
Doctor, but then how does one realize that the once Kundalini is awakened, or it is activated?
See, that is what I said. Now, the stillness will come. Your concept of hunger and go, your validation thing will go. I am doing this because I feel good about it. This is stupidity. You do something because the stillness is there. And only you will come to know. See, this is, therefore, as I said, now this is little bit tricky question to talk.
Okay, yeah.
You have to find someone and go, whatever the guru you are following. Doesn't matter what he is telling you, where you are learning from. Are you able to keep see what happens a lot of time we go to places where we are comfortable. I like this idea of food. I like this idea of bhakti. I like this idea of, that can be a good start. But eventually, if you don't go deep into it with Svadhyay, what I want to achieve from it, it is a good start because you go somewhere where you are comfortable. Even if you go to somewhere out in a hill station, you want to see the hill station, but you'll say, at least let me have a comfortable place to stay. Because once if you have a comfortable place to stay, then you're not fuzzy. You're going to come back safe, you're going to explore. But if you don't have a place to stay, then half of the time you're thinking, okay, where I'm going to spend my night. So any sampradaya gives you that basic amenities to enter and be comfortable. But that should not be your only goal. You have to go out, you have to explore. And that exploration only comes on your own quotient. If you and your husband are walking on the same place, same mountain, both of you like the nature, are you both going to get the same experiences? Is the wind going to regenerate the same memories in him as you? No, that is not quantifiable. You can say, wow, it is good. He might say, wow, it is good. But this good and that good is different. And that is what we call of Kundalini rising, that the methods and everything are mentioned everywhere. You enter a cult, you enter a sampradaya for that kind of a foundation, that kind of a comfortability, okay, I'm taken care of. I know the basic things what I have to do. But once you start exploring outside, venturing outside, you're all on your own. No one is going to guide you. No one can tell you, do this, this will happen. You have to first do something and create the stability. Can you, in this cold, when you think I require that cup of coffee, can you refute it? Or can you say, no, because you said that there is an imbalance happening, I'm drinking coffee. No, do you require something warm? Why do you require a coffee? Can you do that? Can you say, it doesn't matter what comes, I require warmth. It could be warm water, it could be something else, whatever you feel, or it could just be sunlight. So when you start creating this stillness, you start disassociating yourself from manifestations. You only go towards the gunas. You only go towards those imperishable basic qualities which make up your gross body. And then the Kundalini starts rising. I'm not saying this is the only method. In some places, people under a guru, some people do some kind of a nyas, some kind of a practices which upsurges it. But then you have to surrender to that path. Here I'm giving a very responsible information of what exactly it is. But in certain cults, in certain sampradayas, as I said, there are Aghor practice, Tantric practice, Yantra practice, Mantra practice, which fast track this process. But then it is not a syllabus. Okay, I have given Kundalini rising to 20 people, come take my syllabus. No, it also depends upon how exactly you are surrendering to that process. So I hope this little bit clears your question.
Yes, doctor, thank you. Doctor, I hope that you you actually have a separate talk on this.
Yeah, I think so. No one is asking breath. Everybody is asking Kundalini.
Doctor, I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So my question is, a moment ago, you were answering questions about breath, and you were talking about the proper diet and, waking up at this time and going to sleep at this time. I wonder if you could talk a little more about what you mean by the proper diet.
See, for me, as I say, wake up with the sun, sleep with the sun. If you know Shweta, she can tell, because I give this diet to a lot of everyone who comes. It is, no one is spared from it. But the quotient behind is that you wake up with the sun, you wake up by 1 hour before the sun. Then eventually you eat 2 times a day, maybe in the morning by 9, finish it off in 40 minutes. In the evening, finish off the diet before sunset by 40 minutes. If you skip the time, don't eat. Try to sleep on a particular time. Remove salt, sugars, fruits, fermented food. Just eat cooked food. Now you'll say fruits are good, bad. No, this concept is not there. What your Agni can digest. Even if you mean that you can digest milk, can you drink it 8 days? Why? Because it is creating blood. It is giving you benefit. But if you come to context, no, I'm only in milk, I'm not getting my proteins, I'm not getting my vitamins, then those concepts doesn't work. So for me, it is what is going to keep my body stable, create the perfect blood count to support my system. Once that happens, and eventually first thing what will happen, I start getting good bowel movements once a day only. My urine output will be good. I won't be, thinking, oh, should I go to the urine? Should I go to the urine? Or there's some, it will become stable. That's, if you understand what I'm saying, once that is done, your mind becomes stable. Then you will not worry for food whenever you go. You're going out to some place. Oh man, what should I eat today? In your time what you get, you're going to eat. Then what happens? This awareness of breath comes. Why? Because you have done a diet? No, because that has changed your breath. When some people come to me, I just check if the breath is proper or not. If not, then we can say something is wrong. So these were practices of Ayurveda, how they used to do it. So for that, my breath should be proper. If my breath is not proper, if I'm not aligned, if I've eaten something, I can't give this lecture. I can give this lecture, but what I'm saying will not appeal to you. Why? Because it is not appealing to me. It won't be natural. See, that much how breath is important. If I'm talking on multitudes of concepts without any preparation here, then because the breath is stable and I have practiced, I can talk with authority. If I've got no practice, I'll quote some books which I might not have, or I'll tell, no, this is out of syllabus for this talk. We'll talk later, and then I'll do some homework and come. So, that is why diet is important, because it keeps your brain proper. And I've done this, I had a few lectures a month back, which I always talk about. And because I had arrived and it not because of this lockdown, I ate something bad. I won't say bad, late. The next day, I could not give the lecture properly for the first 2 hours. Though people liked it, but it was something that I was trying to make a point, it was not flowing. Then I started doing the diet again because I said, no, I should give a lecture properly. And it started happening. So I'm telling you from my experience. It is not just that it's happening. Someday, if my body is not proper, I might not go to the clinic also. Because I know the patient who comes inside, I might not be able to judge him properly because half of my thought process is within me. See, this is how this holistic practices were first. That you have to stabilize first yourself. Only then you can check someone. Somebody asked about Nadi Pariksha. First, your Nadi should be stable. If the Vaidya's Nadi is not stable, he is not getting and doing, how will he check your Nadi? Because he has got something, he must have something to compare with himself. You can have propositions, intellectual propositions, I'm not talking about it. But eventually that is how it happens. So, this stability was a breaking foundation for each and every Vedic sciences. If a priest is not stable, like in Rig Veda, there were different kind of a priest. He used to sing in a normal tone. The Samvedis used to sing in a loud tone. The Yajurvedi used to sing in a mid tone. Even to maintain that tone, they had to maintain certain practices. You cannot throw a tone, a verse, if you're acidic. Can you sing? You cannot sing. You will be. But if your practice is good, you're going to sing in the same pitch because you're not singing for anyone. That resonance is creating balance within you. You're there. And sometimes when you try to sing in a particular way for someone, it is not going to reach. So see, these are very applicable sciences. And therefore, when I say that when a patient or whoever comes to me, I first try to just stabilize the breath, whatever might be the disease. If they are good enough to follow it, most of the things get sorted. Again, if they go back and say, okay, my job is done, I'm all right. Now I'll start doing something on my discretion. It is fine on a health level because your blood reports and everything is going to be fine. But again, what happened cumulatively, that breath is again going to go into disbalance and some other disorder might occur. And when disorders occur, confusion of thoughts occur, validation occurs. You always search things which we can validate. Okay, I think this is according to me, so I'll follow this. And that comes from instability. And therefore I say eat on time, sleep on time. But this is what I teach. I won't recommend you to do it just because I'm telling. Of course, you can follow the timings, get up on time, eat 2 times a day, eat before sunlight, a little bit recommendations what I've said. If you're good enough to do it without thinking, okay, I lose weight, gain weight, what happens? Your job is done. You give yourself 20, 21 days, do just awareness of breathing. You will start seeing the change. Then once you start this stability, pick up any guru, any kind of a field where you can align with and move it.
Thank you.
Doctor, hi. Rishikesh here again. So you were talking about controlling breath and monitoring your breath, and you can through food, through your day-to-day habits, to some practices, But generally, given the kind of lifestyles we live, where you spend 10, 15, 12, 13 hours in office, commute for 4 hours a day, things like that. Is there a way by which you can, I mean, of course you can follow food and all, but is there a, in given, especially life like in Mumbai, how do you kind of ensure that you follow practices in without, it's very difficult to find time for sitting and meditating or things like that. How do you kind of ensure that you are following your, stabilizing your breath?
See, I give a very blunt answer to this, that everybody has to decide where they are going. These quotients of economic and all, they go on till we die. So what you are saying on a very ethereal term, I understand. You have seen how I practice, so I can tell you from example. So for me, if I work the way you work, there is no dearth of patience. But I work only 1 hour a day. Why? To maintain it. So if you find some stillness, because you're trying to cut the chaos, you're finding stillness within you, then why does that chaos should bother you? But if you're thinking, no, I require to have a practice, but I don't find time, then I think so that is not a logical way to go about it. Okay, in this, a middle way, I can say, no, I need to find a practice. I need to do this. Maybe I'm not getting a time, but I'm keeping the awareness. I'm trying to eat on time. I'm trying to sleep on time. I'm trying to make some sacrifices to go there. I'm trying to see that wherever I eat on time. Wherever I sleep on time. I'm giving up certain opportunities because it is going to ruin my balance. See, it is all about investment. When you do hard work for 10 days and on the 11th day you feel it is going to get wasted, you feel bad. Then when you do a particular practice for 10 days, 20 days, whether it be food, if you're doing it only for short-term gain, you have already got the benefit which will help you 2-3 months. But it is a cumulative thing. You'll say, no, I'm good enough. I'll see it later. Then later never comes. So I'm telling you from my own stuff, the same thing. I get up, I don't work after 3, I eat before 6 most times. Sometimes I might go out, I might eat late, but that comes with awareness that I'm doing something wrong. Can I counter it tomorrow? That awareness must be there. Once you develop that awareness, then eventually things will start happening, because not that somebody is going to come and give you that thing. Your mental protraction towards opportunities changes, because you're looking for the stillness within those opportunities, which now thinking very lucrative to you, you start seeing beyond that. You don't see that how much money it is making. You're thinking, how much time I'm going to waste in making this money? Is it worth it? How can I cut this? And this was the awareness this yogis started developing. And eventually when they got to that point, they started going out. Some people said, no, we don't want stimulus. Some people became sansaric yogis. These are how the stories are. That if you read the biography of a lot of this saintly people, which is available, charitra, what we call. But this is what I can tell you from my own way. If somebody comes and tells me that I'm a householder, I cannot get up at 5, I'll say, maybe find someone who helps you out with it. I cannot comment on it, because it would be dishonest on my part to say some modifications. For me, it's pretty clear. Sun and the moon, you have got one life. You start with the sun, you stop with the moon. Diseases do not make discriminations. Opportunities do not make discriminations. Nothing. Everything is in your hand. You have been given a choice. Whenever, of course, we all start with ignorance. We all start with validation. The moment that thing comes to you, how much of a surrender can you give to your own body? You don't have to give it to someone else. Are you responsible for your own body? Because if you're diseased mentally, physically, you're a liability on yourself and people around you. I'm not talking about physical disability. You're not in your good thoughts. You're totally worrying about money. You're totally worrying about opportunities. Today, some people are so worrying about COVID. So you're losing just time. You're just waiting that, okay, my insecurity will end and I'll go out. But are you going to stay forever? Aren't you losing that time? That prana which is going in 21,600 and going out, it is already gone. What have you done to stabilize it? So I always feel it is onus on everyone that you have to first prepare yourself to ready to surrender to the process. Only then you will find a guru to teach you. But if you only go to take classes which are customized, you can learn some techniques. You can stay in the belief that, no, I'm doing some practice, I'm feeling good. Of course, if you sit 2 hours with your clothes, you're going to feel good. Everybody feels good. But that is not helping you. It is just de-stressing you for some time. Rather, without that, take marijuana and sleep for 2 hours. It is still better. You don't even have to do that practice. You go into the same trance. So this is what I'm saying. And I'm not joking. I'm telling you in very, very frank way. If you just want to recreate that experience, why sit, and you just take some, now it is legal also. You take, in our country, hopefully it becomes, you just take and you sleep. And that is what everyone has to cultivate. These lectures, when I take, I try to put this algorithmic application points for. That is the reason why I don't talk about different kinds of pranayama, different kind of traditions, different kind of genealogies. That puts us, oh wow, this is what I need to know. And that is not required. Even if in today's world, your awareness of your breath, stillness, you are doing far more than any other people who are teaching this. I'm talking it with very much responsibility. And that is what I've seen. And I'm talking this with responsibility because you being a patient, what kind of a people come to me have got these practices. So this has to be corrected from the base. I have to tell a lot of people, stop this. They don't stop it. You have to do this practice, you have to stop it. And once you stop it and you're over, then it is your choice. But once you restart it, don't come to me. Then you follow whatever sampradaya you are doing. Some people get the point. Some people don't get the point. They again go back to their life and again they justify, no, I have got work. But you came to me because you could not work. There was a time where you could not work. If somebody is going to give you 1 crore rupees, he is not going to tell you work from home. He is going to take any hours you are awake to produce it. You will feel obliged. No, I'm getting paid so much, I should do this. So I'm not pointing out to anyone on their economic or this. First, people have to get rid of their economic, personal and physical insecurities. Once you know that, okay, fine, it's okay, then only you can start with practice. Till then, the only thing what I can suggest, have this awareness that I need to cultivate this someday. I need to at least try eating on time, sleeping on time. If I'm not doing that, I need to be aware that whenever I'm faltering, it is going to bring me some disturbances. Even if you carry that awareness, eventually you will cultivate that mindset to reach that. This is what I have seen. I used to work for long hours. I used to go to the forest in the night, but there always an awareness was that I am doing something wrong, which is going to affect my education. As long as you have the awareness, you can correct it. And that is what I will tell you in this method for anyone who is listening, because this question comes up a long time. How can we implement? We are working, we have got night shifts, day shifts. No one has told you to do that. Of course, sometimes it might be the nature of your job. Fine, you can't do much about it. Then don't go into this practice. Just get over your job and then go into these practices. Practices were never created for jobs. They were created much, much before, where jobs did not exist. Now we are so stressed, we are using these practices, mantra, yantra, all this to find escapism. I won't say use the word escapism, or find a comfort zone where, okay, fine, I'm doing something. I'm so much stressed, doing something. But we don't understand the nature of dukkha, what is called in Ayurveda, what is called in Buddhism. What is the nature of it? There is an algorithmic nature of it. If you try to understand it, these practices become highly supportive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Sumit, can you break down dukkha by your etymologically?
I think I made a mistake using that word. But anyways, since you have asked, see, dukkha means, in Ayurveda it is written dukkhastam rogam, means if you are unhappy or diseased. I won't say dukkha means unhappy. Dukkha is a state of imbalance where you are aware, but you are not either agreeing to it or agreeing to it too much. If you're cribbing about something internally, outside, and you accept it as a part of your life. You say, no, I can't do anything, I have to live with it. Some part of your prana is constantly causing that kind of a distraction. You're sitting and you say, oh, wish that could get over. Everybody goes through these phases on some part. It could be disease, it could be some kind of, that is dukkha. And when you are happy, when nothing is bothering you, even if you have a physiological disease, but you are happy with it, you don't require treatment. That is what Ayurveda, in very simple terms. Sukha, Arogya, Dukkha is opposite of it. So when we say Sukha means it is a feeling, all balanced feeling that nothing is bothering you. You have cancer, you have no money, it doesn't matter. I'm happy. You see the Shiv bugs, sometimes they are happy in their own land. Doesn't matter if they get something, do something. And Dukkha means that this validation, oh, I'm good, but I'm like this because this is there. It is not me. Whenever that validation is there at any part, that is Dukkha. And that is how beautiful it is. Now, there is a lot etymological. I don't want to go much into it. Again, I said it will take 2 hours. But this, in a nutshell, this is what the concept is from a Vedic point of view.
The other thing I've been wondering about in this kind of play of manifest and unmanifest thing, cosmos. So the body, the gross body, that's manifested over. And then these subtle bodies, including prana, and this is where I guess I'm unclear, is that the part, whatever state the prana is at the end of one's journey, do subtle bodies also die or they don't die? Or they both, some die and some don't?
See, if I give a very intellectual explanation, we say energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It goes into one form or the other. So the thing is that whatever energy is first released in creation, the first point of creation, has to be the sum total of all energies which is available in the cosmos. But is the entire energy released? That is a different question. We are not going into that. We are talking about, it's a very complex topic. We are not talking about a lecture on Darshan Shastra. So I'm not going. So when you talk about prana, whatever this vitality you are encompassing in a body, in a container of gross body, that is a derivative form of this energy. It has to go somewhere. It will never die. It can be utilized. It can be dissipated into separate forms. As I said, when you die, certain amount of prana goes away into that kind of a body where that prana is. Therefore, we say alpa prana, madhya prana, and mahaprana. There are certain categories like this. So this is how it is calculated. What prana is remaining into your body? Is it being forming a derivative from another manifestation? We don't know. So these are concepts where we try to understand building blocks. The subtle body and the gross body, it is not our cause. In whatever your body is, your body. If you see in your subtle body, you have all the knowledge of what has been happened to you, and after you'll have to work towards it. If it is true or not, I don't know. After you die, where that prana is going to go, if you really are concerned about it, do meditation and see to it that it goes out from here. Techniques are there, but are you ready to give yourself that discipline? But if you say, no, it doesn't matter how it goes, then this intellectual quotient, I can give you 20 answers and no one can prove I am wrong, or I can't prove anyone is wrong. We can defeat someone in a debate. But quotient is you have to find it out yourself. There are techniques to do it. There is dedication to do it. Long literature, long lineage is there in Indian metaphysics. But you have to start applying it. And that is how this prana works. The whole concept is of this prana.
Thank you. I remember I always think of my great-grandfather. Towards the end of his life, he went through a mona stage. And I remember when I was little, we would go visit, but he would come out, do some, motions on the floor, things. There's a point where he started to grow back teeth and hair, black hair again, and things like that. So the true anti-aging, not the modern understanding of what anti-aging is. So in this type of anti-aging, like what is the prana is being, things are being re-nourished, like at the gross level, but then also at the subtle level for this kind of anti-aging to happen. And that may not even be the right term, but what is happening kind of with the prana there?
See, the word anti-aging has got nothing to do with rasayan.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-aging is a very modern term. Very stop aging, because aging is a concept which comes in modernity. I'm aging. But in your body, what is aging? Nothing is aging. There is one cell which is growing right now. So that is you, right? So that is one day of you. There is some who's this. What happens is that in certain rasayanic concepts, again, I said the sum total of prana is balanced. The circulation is made proper. In minimum combustion, maximum mileage is derived from your vehicle. And that is what happens, is that the replication starts making exact copies, little bit copies, certain things start happening. So rasayan is what happens. It's like when these things happen, you start growing black hair, your wrinkles go away. What is happening? That prana is being stabilized into your system. Because prana is always looking to get out of your system. It doesn't want to stay there. It has a specific time limit where it is there, then it will go away. There are certain children who just go to the pool and die. No disease. There are certain people who are living 20 years in coma. Nothing is happening. Prana is forced to stay there. So that is why it is there. Does this have intelligence, Atma, Buddhi? No. Atma is there. It comes with Mat. It comes with a specific. Buddhi doesn't mean, oh, I want to stay here. But what it will do, staying between your stomach and your intestines, where total urine and everything is forming, the prana stays there. So it is described in a very derogatory thing. Between your fecus and even a child is born, it is between the mother's fecus and urine, growing slowly. What is this kind of a birth and death? Shankaracharya has told. A lot of people have given very derogatory examples, bad examples. So what they say, that this kind of a material life, what we yearn for, is always going to be curseful. Because we are staying in some kind of we find, wow, we hold on to it. So prana doesn't want to hold on to it. It just wants to transmigrate from one place to another. You can hold on to it and force it to go in a way where it doesn't go back into it. That some total of energy goes back again to the cosmos. So, this was a concept which was understood. But, now it is very difficult for some people to talk anuvad, parmanuvad, matra, visarga. Common people are not going to understand it. Basically, this was not also for common people. Earlier, this knowledge was for people who were going into cults and sampradayas. Now we have books, libraries, somebody has done research, we find it great. Therefore, we are even talking these concepts. Earlier, without nirukta, without etymology, no Sanskrit word was of any use. Today, we just use the word pran, maya, tej, oj, because we have read about these concepts. But these are applicable concepts. See, this is not that I'm trying to say that, no, whatever you have learned is shit. No. Whatever you have learned is absolutely fine. But eventually, everyone must try to make a sense that if these are applicable concepts, how can I understand them from an applicable point of view? If you keep a very spiritual point of view, then nothing is. See, growing black hair is not anti-aging. There can be people who be anti-age and yet grow white hair. Rasayan is about preserving the vitality of the gross body. Therefore, the word rasa is given to parad. Why? Because it is the alchemical perfection of the Srishti. The moment it is stabilized, whatever you put inside is not going to grow in weight. Whatever it comes out, it's going to be in stable weight. It is going to digest anything you give. It is only going to give you the purest thing. If you put it inside the body, it is going to go into the minutest of channel, because it is yoga vahi. So again, the word yoga vahi is used. So see, words are used intermittently to denote a higher concept. Why yoga vahi is used? In Ayurveda, we use the word yoga vahi. Yoga vahi means all spreading. Yoga, union. Why? The way the union is happening, it is going to go to the Sukshma channel. Why it is not said Strotra vahi? Why it is not said Dhatu vahi? So see, these things we have to, because in Sanskrit language, nothing is used because it is fancy. In Kalidasa, Abhigyan, Shakuntalam, it might be used to convey a rasa bhava. Yet there is no wastage of words. So when you start understanding why prana is used here, why maya is used here, why tej is used, then you start understanding the Gudhartha. Then you start making connections before. If you just take it as verbatim, nothing is going to happen. And these are certain things when we talk about these higher concepts and try to understand transmigration of soul, vrittis, what these concepts have to be. For a practitioner, this concept should not matter. Like if you ask me, do they matter to me? No. I don't even talk about them unless and until I'm giving a lecture. It doesn't matter to me. For me, what matters? Stability, breath, diet, discipline, what I can do to be in that breath. Eventually, I'll reach there. If anything external is supporting my find, I'll use it. Why clutter my mind where prana is going, which atma it is coming inside from? It doesn't matter. But because it is a concept where people talk about it, we can do some clarity. But whatever I have said, how will you quantify it? If I said 21,600 prana into your body, how will you quantify it? I'll give you know it is written in this book. But does that make you quantify it? No, you can only quantify it by knowing how to count, by knowing how to do the breathing. And that is where when the sum total becomes more retention, less expansion, then you can understand this concept. And then you can understand the movement of prana. Then you can understand the expression of prana in various parts of your body. This will aid in your chikitsa. So these concepts have been put in a very rudimentary way. What is happening? Because we are learning isolated books, Charak Sahita, Shushu Sahita, Padartha Vigyan, we think them as separate concepts. They are not separate concepts. Even Vedas were one. Na? Vyas for idiots like us made it into 4 parts. So we think no, Rig Veda is this, Yajur Veda. No, it is the same thing. One is the Gadya, one is the Padya, and one is the Giti. What is the prose of one Ved, the poetry of another Ved is sung from another Ved. And because it is sung, it is expressed, it is considered as a primordial Ved. Therefore, Krishna says, of all Veds, I am the Sam Ved. Why doesn't he say Rig Ved? So see, these things, when you start making connections, then you start understanding applications. So for to know anti-aging, first you should know the Nirukti of Rasayana. Don't ask me about it. This lecture is not about it.
It's a cop out now.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Thank you.
Doctor, whenever there is a death in any family, especially Indian families, we are told in the family we are not supposed to do puja or go to the temple for 12 to 15 days, whatever. Is there a science behind it?
Yes, very much. You can see it from the infection, what is happening. It is called as sutak. Because in earlier times, most people used to die from communicable disease. So because it was communicable disease, it was said that no one from the family should step out and no one from others should come and visit them. After 15 days, the quarantine period ended. Nobody falls sick. You went out. Sutak was lost.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about dukkha. I know it came out, and it's complex in the sense that I think there's a lot of misinterpretations about what it is, because it doesn't just indicate that we are having no bad experiences, that we're not having sadness or grief or suffering even. It's a different kind of suffering, I think, that comes from the mental gymnastics that take us out of having an actual experience.
See, I'll explain to you before what is it.
Yeah.
If you see the Buddhist word dukkha, it says life is suffering. Life is dukkha. But not, I'm happy in my life. How can it be dukkha? So very concept of life is suffering. That's what Buddhists say. Now when we come to the Sanskrit terms of Ayurveda or whatever it is, dukkha doesn't mean grief. Grief is a type of dukkha. Pain is a type of dukkha. There are some people who have got no grief, but when they see other people happy, they get dukkha because he's happy, I am not. So whatever ruffles your stability, which makes your awareness from within to outside, when other factors start controlling you, even if it is for happiness, you're so happy that somebody is praising you and you want to be in that experience so much, even that is a dukkha. Why? Because slowly the awareness from within, you're thinking, no, somebody is doing something for me. So the moment that state comes, you want to really break it down to an etymological level, that is dukkha. But we understand it as pain, griefs, being stuck somewhere in life. So for thought process is very easy. And therefore, the stability which I was talking about is very important. When you are so stable that, again I said, when the aham has manifested within you, aham means only I am there, but nothing else is manifesting within you. Then there is end of dukkha and sukha. And that is what is said here in Buddhist call it the stage of nirvana. Nirvana, again I said, doesn't mean moksha. Nirvana means end of suffering. When dukkhanta, the word is used, when it is gone, then you reach a stage of nirvana. Nirvana means nothing exists. Nirvana doesn't mean moksha. In moksha, in Ayurveda, it is said when you go and understand the highest cross form of some total energy, maybe that is the time, because your pravrutti is towards there. So these are little bit two different concepts what we say. Here, Buddhism doesn't believe in some extra divine forces like Shiva and Shakti. So he said your life is a suffering. Suffering occurs because of this 4-5 methods, whatever we say. And that is the reason your life is a suffering. Now, if you tell me if life is a suffering and suffering is dukkha, then is every person who is happy is dukkha? No. So you have to understand this concept. That even on a modular level, even that you are born is a suffering. It is dukkha. So the end of suffering is dukkhanta. And some people, then this modulated a lot of what people started taking it on a much personal level. So there are some Jain people, I know Jain doesn't follow to Buddhist philosophy, but something happened, that you pull out the hair, no validation, nothing. We see something in Aghor practices, some kind of this concept that there should not be any validation of any kind. Even if I'm well dressed and somebody is giving me validation, am I doing this for others or am I doing it for myself? Should we dress in? So people started taking these concepts to extreme levels. In Ayurveda, we say dukkhastam rogam sukhastam arogam. If you are unhappy, you are diseased. So I use it in a very way. Unhappy means what? When if my mental balance is gone, even momentarily or over a period of time, like stress, trauma, disease. Even if I am not diseased, but I am worried for someone. Oh, he's going to die. He has got cancer. What happens? It destabilizes you. You are giving too much importance to yourself to control someone's life. And Vedic science says you cannot control anything. You are a part of a change. So only try to be the stability between this change. And once this occurs, then you are free from it. So these are these little bit metaphysical concepts which can be applied in a day-to-day life in today, where we have so much of stimulus around us.
Yeah.
Still more questions?
No, it's just it's all there. Saying not happiness, happy versus unhappy. It does, because we can still include all of the rasas in the experience of the happiness of. So that means that they're all there. A lot of things that we would normally consider to be the dukkha. And I think that's what, because it's like it puts fear in people to say that you're diseased if you are unhappy. And when, at least in tantric practices, we can experience every emotion and still be not in dukkha.
See, experience of a perfect emotion, if it is happening within you, again if you take the tantric practices, because I'm talking from a different point of view, but again, the beauty of Vedic knowledge is that one quotient should be able to be explained on all forms. So rasvad, bhavavad are the hormonal emotion, perfect emotions with which we interact with others and ourselves. So when you are getting the perfect expression of a rasa within you, it is within you, right? If you are angry, if you're enjoying the anger, you're not holding anyone to provoke you. You're enjoying it. So you're happy. Happy means you're stable. Sukha doesn't mean happiness. See, happiness and dishappiness comes from comparison. I am richer than him. So he will feel he is happy, I am sad. But are you richer than everyone? No. So this comparison, when it occurs to our mind externally, that is the concept of sukha and dukkha. A lot of time, you are in pain. Because a disease, as we say, is a part of human body. Everybody is going to get diseased. But you start cursing everyone and yourself that, why I'm in pain. But you try to get a stability of time. No, man, I am in pain. No one can help me better than me. I have to first find the stability with a proper discipline. I have to do what it takes to get out of it. Only then you will find the remedies working for you. So these concepts are completely, one is a very universal concept of dukkha. The tantric concepts of rasvada and bhavavada also emote the same, but again they are on personal level. So if you can imagine all the rasas individually towards yourself, forget whatever the stimulus is, then you go into a state of sukha internally. If you get a validation, oh wow, I can take care of all rasa, again moment you go into dukkha. This imagine state of balance, the perfect micro level I'm talking is sukha. You can derivate it into gross levels. You can say, okay, fine, I'm unhappy because somebody's phone call ruffled me. You're not going to say, no, nothing is going to ruffle me. This is a constant challenge, what we call as maya. It goes on again and again. The very fact that you're asking about rasvada is your inner quotient to find that balance. You said in tantric practices, I want to see ras. So you're taking a responsibility that happiness lies within me. I cannot reflect that rasa on someone else. I have to first know its stability. And that when happens, your inner journey happens, you're already moving towards sukha. But it is not going to come in one day. For experiencing that rasa also, you have to cut a lot of bonds of stimulus with other people in terms of food, relationships. You have to just be within yourself. And once that comes, then you reach a point there. After that, when aham happens, that only I am manifested. All these rasas are within me. But the validation also goes. You transcend. And this is, this 5-6 concepts which go on to the same platform. So Tantra, Veda, tomorrow if there is a lecture, we have a lecture. So I can tell you a little bit similarities between it. How exactly the concepts are the same, but they have alluded in different form. Why? Due to geographical, political, personal influences the country has gone through. And one is a practice where you are dependent on someone. One is a practice where you're only dependent on yourself and probably your guru. One is a practice like yoga, you can do on your own unless and until you find that stability in your house, or if you want to transcend the same. So, these were all different concepts toned down over a period of time, not because everybody wanted to create their own cult. Documentation was lost, oral transmission was lost, treatises were redacted, masters who had gone into the mountains. Once you are Jivan Mukta, why will you come back to take a class? You are a nuisance for me. So they never came back. People found it very difficult to go up and learn because modernization started. People didn't want to climb up. The concept of guru and knowledge changed. Industrialization occurred. People said, no, this is stupid knowledge. We want to earn money. So, these things we have to take very facts into account of how exactly this quotient has changed. And this is what is said in Veda, how from Satyug, the 4-cowed leg has come to 1 leg. So in today, 1 leg, you cannot find a 4-cow leg. You have to do with whatever the leg that cow is standing on. And therefore it is said in today's Kali Yuga, Tantra is the way to go. You cannot go to those concepts of upasanas and yajnas because that kind of a sat, that kind of a quotient, that kind of a pranic energy is not there. And this all makes very sense. It's not that because in Satyuga everybody was non-corrupt. The society was like that. There is nothing to get corrupted. A society was there. I am making grains, you are making pulses. I give you grain, you give me pulses. Fine. Somebody used to make socks. Somebody used to do a puja. Somebody used to defend. There was no like, okay, you come and defend me, I'll give you more money. No, it was same. So now understand, this stimulus was not for you. There was no comparison. Why comparison occurs when I am getting more than you? In Satyug, this was not there. People were going away with their practices as they were. So focus was within. Eventually, then in the Treta Yuga, what the Kshatriyas came, they started taking land. They said, I want this, I want this. Changed. Then Parshuram came. Then in Dwapar Yuga, at the end of it, Ram came. Then Shri Krishna came. Eventually, now it is Kali. So, this is how what they say. This quotient, the diagram game was Dharma and Satya. Dharma means this static balance. So in Satyug, or 4 was there. In another Yug, reduced by 1/4. Satya is always there. Satya means this true knowledge which is around there. But because Dharma and Adharma, the contraction of mind comes, it goes on reducing by 1 part in every Yug. It becomes imbalanced. And this concept is given in a lot of books. I don't know where exactly, I can't remember the reference. But it is given in a very circular manner. In first Satyug, there is Satya in all quadrants, but Dharma everywhere. Then eventually another Yug, it goes by 1 part, then 1 part, then 1 part. Now we are in this Yuga, whether 3/4 part Adharma, maybe 1 part Dharma, and all When all parts adharma will come, then probably dissolution occurs. So this you cannot say adharma means climate change. Adharma means, it is happening on your own internal level because we are comparing each other for happiness and sadness. The stability within is being lost. Why it is being lost? It is not your fault. It is how the stimulus is coming to us. Gratification, validation. You give a talk on WhatsApp, 2 takes, nobody responds to you, you get angry. You feel vindicated. Okay, he's not responding to me. Is he ignoring me? It's small things I'm telling you. So that mistrust at all levels of relationships, on personal levels, economic levels, this is where this quotient comes. And therefore they said it is impossible to go towards this Vedic knowledge. You have to find your own Tantra, because in your own Tantra, what happens, this body is your yantra, in which your breath is your mantra, and you try to learn it, to operate it in a very undivisible manner. How you do it? By Rasvat, by Pranayama, that is your choice.
Thank you. That went many places.
I hope that question of dukkha is finished for all, right?
Yes, it is. That did it for me.
Are there any other questions or thoughts, inquiries that are percolating in people's minds? Don't hold back. I mean, if you don't have to be able to completely articulate it. When Dr. Sumit shares, I know for me, it's a lot to process at times. And so if anything is unclear, just you can voice it or private message it to me. The whole point of these sessions is to kind of just get clarity and understanding so that you can apply it to your life. So don't hold back in asking anything.
It has been said like some foods have good pranic value and some have less pranic value. Can you explain that part, how it works, and does it really matter, or only the digestive part or the Agni matters the most?
See, if you ask on a very etymological level, the Agni matters. I've seen the agoras eat sometimes dead meat, they digest it. I've seen people eat the most pranic food and go to the loo 20 times. So the Agni matters, not only gross, but cellular level. But I understand where this question is coming from. Because everything which is vital holds a certain amount of prana. It could be vegetables, it could be this. So can we replenish this prana? Because it has got vitality. The quotient I was making about fresh fruit and picked fruit. When you pick up, it is full of prana. You have to plug the fruit you have eaten. The prana energy is there. You're not, got it what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But you can say, oh no, yeah, I'm taking a live animal and I'm eating it because it is prana. What happened? So see, there has to be certain logic behind. If the Agni has made it paripakva, you cannot eat an unripe fruit. Of course, you can eat an unripe fruit, but you'll always eat a ripe fruit. Why? Because the Agni within it has made it almost about to fall. So moment you fall, the moment it is fall or you picked it up, when it is falling, it has this pranic value. It is already cooked. You are eating it. Same thing. What happens? You in meat, going against by whoever who might be vegans and all. Just for an example, I'm saying, when you see in India, there are 2 types of way a meat is formed. A halal method where they slowly throw out the bird. And in India, there is something called as a jhatka method. Jhatka method is they just kill it the moment. There is no inhumane treatment of meat. What happens in jhatka method? The prana is there into your system. If you go to villages, what they are doing, if they want to eat hen, they're first going to make it, run. They're going to catch it. Now, I never understood if you want to kill the hen, why do you have to run behind it? Then I understood the quotient was that when the hen runs, the entire prana is flowing into her muscles. So after that, if you eat it, it becomes more digestible. If you eat cold meat, it is less digestible. So this pranic value, where it comes from, I'll tell you the quotient. In each philosophy has applied it in their own quotient of rasva, sattva, raja, tam, compassion, love. I'm not going through that quotient. I'm not saying I agree with it, disagree with it. It's not my forte. But just on an etymological point of view, this is what is the concept behind pranic foods. So picking the food at the right time, even cooking the food with right spices can retain that prana. And that is when you put that food, it is already digested. The Agni Sanskara is already done. And because it is Sanskarit, your Agni can digest it in a much better. It has got nothing to do with vegetarian, non-vegetarian, good food, bad food, this food, that food. Therefore, in India, there were seasons of plucking methods, sowing methods. Why? To generate and keep this prana within. Grains, the Navratri festivals were done during this, fertile seasons. Why? To invoke prana. Now we have irrigation systems, we have dams. So, that is something which if you want, we can apply. But earlier it was said that if there is no sattva, there is no prana in your food, then how will you sustain it? So it doesn't mean that because you're eating something, even you're giving something to Agni, you require to give ghee, right? In Vedic rites.
Right.
So why it was given? Because it is generating the prana in it. Because if there is no ghee, the Agni will die. And therefore that prana, that concept of it came, that vitality, we started oblating it in every creation of nature. So it is not about the right food. In Ayurveda, if you go, they have not said this is the right decision. They have only given you the gun, karma, rasa, virya, vipak of it. When you pluck it, from where you get it, which kind of water field you get it, it is all mentioned. But we have to, when you make the connections, then you will come to know what is prana, what is not. So that is the reason when I say don't eat fruits, it is just because of this reason, that you are not plucking it from the tree. You are eating fruit which is ripe up somewhere. So somebody will argue, no, we pick up unripe mangoes, we put, and it is still not a good method. So, but as long as you are getting it fresh within 7 hours, 8 hours of, it's fine, you can have it. But if you see those same mangoes, if you take 12 mangoes, 2-3 you will eat, 2-3 will start getting wrinkled.
Yes.
Why? Because the Agni is already dead within it. The pak has already happened. And see how this fundamental concepts of Ayurveda were there. So this is what is meant by pranic food. I'm not saying this is a separate concept mentioned here. It is an integrative concept, but people have now taken it as per their own school of thought, which I'm not, which is right or wrong, because I don't go to that school of thought, so I cannot comment on it.
Thank you.
So, doctor, is it safe to have the local fruits like mango in this season?
See, it depends. If you're following a protocol, your Agni is good, you can eat anything. But if not, if you're diseased, if you've got issues, then you have to be a little bit clever about it. So even this season, it is a natural season, you can eat mangoes, because it is said mangoes can be eaten only in this season. But it's again subject to from where you are getting it. So yeah, if you're getting it fresh, you are getting it within that time period. Sometimes that grass is put over there. In a way you can have it. I'm not saying it is good or bad. That is for you to decide. I eat a mango, I might not have any issues because Agni is good. Somebody eats a mango, they get all boils on their face. Somebody eats a mango, they might get something else. So, there is a concept and there is derivation to enjoy it. If we just go by the concept, we'll end up hungry. So we should not go much into the concepts. You have to develop a methodology of awareness of how best I can enjoy it. Like you put mangoes in milk, then throw away the milk. Depending on which kind of a mango you are bringing, put the mango in water in the night, let it soak, take it out into the morning. So what happened, that Pak Agni, this Agni slowly starts getting easy for you. When you eat mango, don't eat anything else. Just use mango as fruit. You can make a mango, this what you make, amras, what you call, put some cardamom in it. These are certain modifications you can use to enjoy the food. Is it healthy? It is going to give you benefit. That depends upon your Agni.
Thank you, doctor.
Dr. Sumit. I'm finding a new love for etymology through these lectures now. So can you break down Swadhyay?
You're asking questions which require a separate lecture. But see, Swadhyay is Swa-Adhyay. Swa-Adhyay. Yeah. Swa-Adhyay means what you have absorbed from within. Adhyay means like Adhyayan, means like you have read something, you're reading something, right? So you're Adhyayan, you're reading it continuously to gain knowledge. But Swa-Adhyay means that is what written, are you mugging it up and throwing it out because you feel it is good? Or what you have read, are you connecting it with your experiences and making something concrete out of it which you can apply in ahead? So Swa-Adhyay always lies at the basis of everything. Let us say that you are listening to me and you said, wow, you gave a good lecture. It is not Swa-Adhyay. Even if you mug up, what I am saying, how I am interpreting, how I am applying, that is Swa-Adhyay. And all Shastra's interpretation comes only on this value of Swa-Adhyay. The problem occurs, we get lost in a lot of concepts. We get lost in teachers who explain these concepts in a much better way. Like I said, if I can speak a little bit good English, you listen to me. If I don't know to speak English, does it mean I cannot explain the concepts? No, maybe I can explain it in my language to someone else. They can be much profound than what I can explain in other language. The Swa-Adhyay happens, I speak in any language. Because your foundation is so good, you listen to anyone, you're building on your knowledge. But if you say, no, I don't listen to him because I don't understand the language, I listen to him, then that is not Swa-Adhyay. So everybody has to start and understand what I am saying is not because I know so much. To understand, I know so much because I have applied whatever I've learned in 20 years, I've been applying it in a very algorithmic form. When I talk about etymology, like somebody asked about dukkha. So I can give you examples of all Shastra just on the word dukkha. And you cannot refute it also. Why? Because this is the core, that everything lies on the base of something. How I'm understanding that building blocks. See, if I understand the building blocks, I can make anything from it. If I just go and try to understand each and every creation, it is going to be difficult. Like in Ayurveda, if you understand 6 days, you understand everything. Because more and more things are growing each day. The plants of today are hybrid plants. They are not mentioned in Veda. How you are going to remove, how you are going to take its ras, virya, vipa. But if you know the rasas yourself, your Swadhyay is there. You know there are only 6 days. You can catalog anything. So that is the difference between Swadhyay and Adhyayan. You're doing Adhyayan of something. Adhyayam is something which is there, which is written, which is concrete. Therefore, in Charak, it is said Prathamo Adhyay. It is not said Prathamo Adhyayan. It means that this is an Adhyay you should read. No, it is Adhyay. So Adhyay means this is concrete. There is nothing outside it. And Swa-Adhyay means you're internalizing that Adhyay. And so there is these words which have been used. Though I'm giving you a very generic example of it, it has got a much profound meaning in various Shastras. But the gist of it is this.
Okay. Doctor, I have read different books, and I have put in practice also what they say that to me, the authority for yoga and this subject of pranayama, you can read it in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And also this thing about depression and happiness and unhappiness. I have read books about impermanence, and it says that the less important part of, you can talk about the concept of metaphysical concept of life, that the less important aspect of human life is the body, but the human existence is the most important to learn how to grow up intellectually and spiritually. So I think it's very important to find the original source, authority, to get a clear understanding of all these concepts so it won't get confused and get too complicated in this subject.
See, as I understand your question, see, the authority is never the books. Books have been redacted over a period of time. See, if I'm writing a book on a subject, I am writing it with my own Swadhyay. I'm writing it what I have interpreted. But can I be sure that you're understanding the same? Therefore, one book appeals to different people in different times. But that doesn't change the concepts. That book can inspire you to know a concept, but you have to make your own interpretation to go at the root of the concepts. So saying that there is no authority is not, the Vedas are authority. You can say no, Vedas are written. Fine. But yet what is written is still good enough. Why? Because what is written in one is expounded in other. What is written in Sutrasthan of Charak is expounded in all the other sthans. So if you know only Sutrasthan, you know all the entire treatment protocols ever present of Ayurveda. But if we treat Sutrasthan as separate, if we treat Yoga Sutra as separate, no. Darshan Shastra, there are only 6 Darshan Shastras. If you know the basic aim of these Darshan Shastras, you don't require to know the entire philosophy. So this is what is mentioned by this text. A problem occurs is that Yoga Sutra. Then why not Hatha Yoga Ratnavali? Why not Hatha Ratnavali? So why not Goraksha Ashtak? Why not Goraksha Sahita? That is also profound books on yoga. Patanjali Yoga Sutra tells of one form of yoga. There are certain forms of yoga where this is not even discussed. Even there is a yoga given in Gita. Even there is a yoga given in Vedas. Why not those yoga? So yoga, what we understand is union, discipline, Atha Yoga Anushasana. Once you know what is internally, it doesn't matter which book you refer to. Everything is telling the same. When we talk about dukh, it is the same thing. But how you want to go there depends. You know, when we say life is suffering, metaphysics, conceptual wise, it is fine. Because we are understanding life from our own body. We cannot go and say, no, I'm Purusha, I'm Prakriti, everything. No. But eventually we understand it. If these concepts are real, then eventually I'm just passing through something and I have to develop this awareness. And that is the reason we have to learn from history. In history, there have been many scholars. What they have written and what they have practiced, you will see, no, he has written profoundly, but the way he's practicing seems very concise. Why? Because he writes for us to understand this concept in an introductory way. He doesn't write what he is doing, because that no one will understand. Even if he tries to understand, it will not make any sense, because your discipline is not allowing you to understand it. You go to a Agora in Smashan and he's doing some kind of a procedure with a dead body. You're not going to understand it. You'll say, what is this? You know, is this a total disregard for a dead? Some people might say that. But in his Tantra, in his way of understanding, he is not finding any difference between living and the dead. So it is very difficult to understand the word authority from the books we have. Every book is an authority if you can trace his source. Therefore, if you read Charak, he says it is not my authority. This book belongs to Agnivesh Tantra. I am just Prati Sanskritit. Even if he Vagbhat says, first line he says, this is not my Tantra, I am just concising it from my masters. So who is the authority? Agnivesh says he was of Parashar. Parashar comes from Daksh. Daksh comes from Ashwini Kumar. Ashwini Kumar comes from Indra. You go back and see, the authority comes that way. Within time, as the knowledge gets scripts, it gets translated, it loses its sanctity. I'm not saying it's sanctity, because we with lower minds are going to express knowledge in the way we understand it. So it is very good for even what I'm telling you now is corrupted knowledge. It is not pure knowledge. It is how I have understood and applied. Now, if you just take it as a praman and say, no, I find you are an authority, and you do it, then you will be wrong. You have to understand what I have said, and with discussion within yourself, you have to go and find the authority. The same concepts what I've told you now. If you know, go back again and read Charak Sahita, you will find some different meaning out of it. And that is the beauty of these concepts. Each time you revisit them with different application processes, they appear different to you. Now that even that first verse, Atha Yoga Anushasana, will make a profound difference to you, which many of the yoga students don't read also, the first line. Because there is nothing Atha Yoga Anushasana. What is there in it? So this is how. The first line of Vagbhat, Ragadi Rogam, it explains everything. The Rag is cost of Rog. You understand where this Rag, where this passion, where the disbalance is coming from, you understand every disease. That one sutra gives you the explanation of the entire book. But now if you go and read it again, Vagbhat, I don't know, it's Ashtang Hridaya or Ashtang Sangra. The first verse is Ragadi Rog. Go and read it. And then you will understand, oh, this I missed it. So this is the beauty of these books, these tantras, that, we have to keep revisiting them with our application. If you hold something as authority, then I think so it is just validation. Charak is not the authority. Sushrut is not the authority. They never said we are the authority. They said we come from a sampradaya. We are just trying to put it in a concise form for low intellect people like us. This is what Charak says. I'm writing this for low intellect people like us. For the really learned, books are not the best medium to learn. So, we should, I'm not saying that whatever we are learning, sometimes it may come across that I'm saying throw away your books. It is not saying, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that revisit those books, but try to apply those concepts on a very personal level, either in part, either completely, or complete surrender, but at least in some part. If you do that thing correctly, you'll start understanding what is meant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying that I'm a close-minded person and I haven't read the other books. But when you started to learn Ayurveda, I believe you used some kind of books to begin with, to start with. So
yeah. Even we learned it that way, but I tell you, it is not a good exercise. I'm just happy I got the degree. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks for it.
Recently, I was reading one word. It says Swadharma and find your true calling. Can you just throw some light on this topic? Because how to find your true calling?
Who read it? You should ask him.
But I was like,
see, dharma means, for me, a lot of people, you can say religion. A lot of people, dharma means the action which is expected of you in that time frame. Like Krishna says, Arjun says to Krishna, no, I can't kill. These are my relatives. Krishna says, this is your dharma. You're not entitled that you're going to release that arrow and it is going to hit someone. That is not in your control. You can only release the arrow. What is making you so sure that arrow is going to kill someone? But in this quotient, your dharma is to do this. Now somebody says, no, he's instigating Arjun for a fight. But to know in the time frame movement, what is apparent of you without the expectation of fruit and result is your dharma. So then you can say Swadharma is what is expected of you to do in this life should be your true calling. Maybe that is where it comes from, but I am not here to comment on other people's etymology. So maybe you should write him a mail.
Thank you.
Any more thoughts or questions before we close this session? Again, if you don't want to publicly voice anything, you can message it privately. Seize the moment. Okay. Again, thank you, Dr. Sumit, for sharing your concepts, your understanding, and sharing all your wisdom with us. I know every session people take away a lot. One understands it or not.
You should reframe the topics. Nobody asked about breath anything into this lecture.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway, right? We go with the flow. You don't even know. Yes, you're like tomorrow's Tantra. It's not tomorrow. It's Tuesday.
Okay.
So, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So if anyone doesn't have any comments or questions, we're going to close for the session. If you haven't made your donation, kindly, if you can, I know we understand people are going through a lot of difficult, challenging times right now, but it'll greatly fund Dr. Sumit's Whiskey Gizzard Milk Diet Fund, as well as other technological expenses. We have 2 more sessions this coming week as we close all these April sessions. Tuesday is Tantra, what it's not and what it is. And on Thursday night, it's just an open chai chat session with any topic under the sun, which most of these sessions turn that way, but this is an open forum for anybody and everyone. So I put the links in the chat, so you can feel free to register there. I think that is it. Yeah, so if there are no other closing comments, questions, any last ones? Have a wonderful rest of your night or day. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Sumit. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Sumit.
Dr. Sumit.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
Nice meeting.
Shweta.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.